Governor Bobber, like good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Hey, this is Governor Chris Christie from New Jersey. Good day, doctors.
Go! You're watching Dr. Politics.
Well, it is Good Friday today, and it is March 29th. We're about, 18 days away from paying Uncle Sam our taxes?
Our taxes, you said. Our tax, okay.
Yeah, well, my taxes, I don't know. I just haven't transmitted the taxes over yet to them. It's all about, they're gonna, if I have to pay them, they're going to wait to the very last minute for me to hit transfer. Although watch one of these days their server is going to crash and you won't be able to transmit it. But anyways, busy week. We started the week with Maryland Day on Monday, the celebration of the great state. And that is the first of our 3 Maryland days we have every year. Then in April, we have University of Maryland Day, which is a lot of fun. Everyone should go once. And then we've got Maryland Day in September, which is when we ratify the Constitution. So 3 occasions to have Smith Island cake. And we had this week also in other news, a lot of things go on. One of the things that kind of struck me is when the United Nations, they did a Hamas resolution, we did not veto that resolution. But you know who did veto that resolution? The Chaicoms and the Russians. Who would have thunk it? And why didn't we veto also? Blows my mind away. I think we might have to do something with votes from Michigan and Minnesota for the Biden campaign. They don't want to annoy their radical leftists.
Where did you pick up that analysis, Dwight?
I read about it and heard about it on the radio and read about it online, various sources. And I put together an article about that as well. And I think that it is really reprehensible that we did not veto, frankly. I mean, the fact that the Russians vetoed, the Chaicoms vetoed, we should have vetoed it, frankly. But, and also we had, that's just one of the many things that happened this week. That kind of
I know. I mean, we can talk a little just for a few minutes about that too, though. Just the fact that the administration chose to abstain to allow that to happen. I mean, I think the point there, like you're saying, is that this administration is basically they were caving to the left. They've been feeling the heat about their position with Israel, and they've been backtracking, right, for months now. They went from a pretty strong ally position. We're going to support you after the attack to one where they've wavered a lot of things. They think maybe we can get a 2-state solution. We need a ceasefire. They're looking at all these things. They're not really chummy, as chummy with Netanyahu. Israel pulled back their people, right? They were going to send some people here to talk to the administration, to talk to Biden. I got other guys, I guess, and they're not going to send them to the White House. So they were very disappointed in that. It's like, well, what do you expect when you abstain from this and allow this thing to go through, and basically give the left a victory on this?
I have a member of my committee who frequently abstains, and as she's about to cast her vote, I said, Are you here to abdicate? I mean, abstain? Because that essentially is what it is. You're abdicating your responsibility.
Yeah, no.
And I know we always have every now, like I know in Montgomery County when I was in the Secretary, when Don was on, we would always have one or two knuckleheads that would abstain. And they'd abstain about dumb things like approval of the minutes. Oh, I abstain.
Yeah. Why did you even bother? Why did you even bother? And many times it's an ego trip for people.
And by the way, I feel the same way about members of Congress who get elected. Then they decide, oh, I don't like this job anymore. I'm going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
They're in it for the health benefits, right?
Yeah, I mean, see through your job. You know, like you begged for this. You begged the people of your district to run to get them to vote for you, send you to Washington. Then you get here and you decide, you know, stick out the damn 2 years. It's not that long. Mm-hmm. I know people who've worked the same company for over 20 years now. You know, they can do that for the same thing for 20 years. I think you can get over your 3-day week and long summer vacations and recesses every other month, seems like. And
I don't, you know, I understand that. I don't fault all of them, though. I mean,
I understand if they've got a health concern, like, you know, if they've got some serious
right. There's health concerns. I also don't fault them if they receive a lucrative job offer that probably has got a limited time frame in terms for them to accept that. If they've got a number of years in, if they're near the end of their term, I don't know that it's going to make that big a difference. I mean, and some of these people actually, I don't have a problem when they go. We're not going to miss them, right?
Unfortunately, it's not those people that are going.
We swerved into Congress. Don, you talked about on your list of about the gerrymandering in the voting districts. Why don't we swerve into that? Yeah, because I noticed something about South Carolina is going to use what they're calling an illegal district map, because the Supreme Court did not offer a ruling on that.
Yeah, this is I didn't like these redrawing of districts in between the census. I mean, for most of my lifetime, this is it. You set the boundaries of the districts after the census, and then that would be it for basically 10 years. Now, Tom DeLay in Texas, those guys, they did finagle something, many years ago to favor the Republicans, which I wasn't really in complete agreement with, because I think that's an abuse of their power.
But that was good for America, though.
But now we're seeing this, this play out thanks to Eric Holder, and his group, and and all this stuff. And how much more they politicize this, right? They politicize the state Supreme Courts to act and say, okay, you have to make the decision. I mean, they're overruling the independent commissions in a lot of these states to try to get their way. I mean, elections have consequences. Okay, you get the district, you do what you do after that, and you understand this is going to be the way it is. But now,
just ask Martin O'Malley; he'll tell you.
Yeah. I mean, but now it's like now they're monkeying around. I mean, I really don't know that. So they redraw a map this year. What is it to say that the Democrats or other, don't try to redraw a map 2 more years from now because they didn't get the results they wanted again? And we're just going to have this continual thing where the maps are going to be, redrawn in a lot of these heavy Democratic states every 2 to 4 years. This is nuts.
I mean, it can happen here in Maryland. Wes Moore can take out his finger paint set and decide, hey, let's move the first district across the water into Prince George's County to decimate that one Republican seat. I mean, I can see Wes Moore doing that with his finger paint kit.
Well, yeah, I mean, these, you would think after, all of this discussion over the years about, getting some, fairly drawn, districts, this is just a lot of smoke from the left side of the aisle here, because they go in and when they redraw a district, it'll go from top for the state to the bottom of a state. It makes no sense whatsoever at all. Hey, now I'm just off the top of my head too. I'm making things like, why don't we let AI draw the districts and see what happens? Just out of curiosity.
Oh yeah, I bet it'd be back more. I bet it's more accurate than if we let the Democrats draw the map.
How would you put the data in? Because it's garbage in, garbage out. But how do you put the data in so AI can do that?
You put the census data in there. You tell it to draw, like in Maryland, draw 8 congressional districts, in Maryland. And I'm willing to bet it would draw District 6, not in Montgomery County, but it would go right across like it used to.
Has that been tried before, Don? Or when did you come up with this idea, Don? Because it raised my eyebrows.
Just right now.
Let's see something.
I don't know. All of a sudden, it just hit me. I'm like, hey, AI, it would be an interesting experiment.
By the way, Dwight, what's the name of this show?
Dr. Politics.
There you go.
And the political architects. So there's some architecture to the gerrymandering and drawing of districts, right?
Mm-hmm. Let's see what happens.
But that would be interesting. I mean, somebody should. You could probably do a prompt somewhere, right, on Chat GPT or something like that. And draw me, congressional districts in the state of Maryland. See what happens.
Yeah, someone's going to do that now, just because of us. How do we get credit for this, Dwight?
We're on record right now.
This is a recorded show.
By the way, the logo of the show is an EKG, right? That red line. So on January 24th, I went in to see a cardiologist because I figured it was about time. I at least need to set up a baseline now that I'm entering those golden years. The cardiologist says, Mr. Collins, it appears you've had a heart attack. What? Happy ending. I didn't. It's just that my EKG has been that way my entire life since the day I was born. And it looks like someone has had a heart attack.
Okay, I'm going to tell you the first one.
Yeah, I did a CAT scan anyway, I'm encouraging everyone do that. You need to set the baseline. And by the way, I am sticking to my diet. Having a cardiologist say he thinks you had a heart attack, that'll do that for you.
That's probably more. Yeah, that shakes you up. I mean, you go to the doctor and find things that for me, I definitely got shook up with my prostate cancer diagnosis, and I've had so much fun with that. Just finished my radiation treatments, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, it does change your priorities, does it not, Don?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it's one of those things that it was one of those deals where I hadn't been to the doctor for a while, but I'd gone in there for something else, and when they did the PSA test, it was way too high. Now it's now with medication it's down, but to me, what's like, once you get cancer, it's kind of just this thing of managing it to keep it at bay, and just see how long you can keep it at bay more than anything else.
Dwight, you're not weighing in on this. Are you working on something important?
I'm just typing for the map. That's all I'm doing.
So now between you and me, so
I mean, can you imagine though? I mean, if we got good reliable data, taking the census, putting in, figuring what say the baseline thing should be. You get the census data. You probably have to put in something about the Voting Rights Act. Something like that has to be put into consideration. That type of thing. But if they have the information in there and then spit that out, I mean, that would probably blow the mind of a lot of people on the left. In terms of how these things are drawn, and then it would. We don't need the court. I don't think the Supreme Court of the United States nor the state Supreme Courts in general really wanted to, ever expected to have to wade into this situation.
Yeah.
Let me weigh in here, Susan. Greetings, Susan. I'm wearing a laundered shirt. I was thinking of you as I was putting this on. I brushed my teeth and gargled. By the way, the gentleman who I think was the expert for Governor Hogan on the redrawing of maps, he lives up my way in Frederick County. In Newmarket. So this will be interesting, Dwight. I think I still have that gentleman's contact information. So,
well, let me show you guys. This is what AI did not do a good job. AI fails. Here, let me share my screen.
Am I going to get Jamie Raskin as my congressman again?
Something's going to be.
He was from the DC line up to the Pennsylvania line.
Yep.
And then they changed it again. So now it is John Sarbanes is my congressman.
See this? This is the weirdest district. You got 8, 8. You got 2. This is not even like clearly.
Yeah, I mean, you have to you've got to tell it to make them make the districts contiguous and everything like that. Yeah. And
I'm not sure you want to show that to Andy Harris, Dwight.
Yeah. Oh, he would be representing Southern PG County. Well, there was actually a movement a few years ago where what they wanted to do was they wanted to take the whatever. They wanted to renumber the districts starting from west to east, where the CD6 would be 1. And then instead of 8, you'd be 2, then 3, 4. 4 might be the only one that was in the right spot.
I wonder if they even started that way. You think they might have used AI starting out? Nah.
No. I think they just took.
Yeah.
I think the Democrats in the state Senate and state House, they just took their fingerprint set out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all, New York took they took a hit, and they weren't happy with what happened, so they went back. Now it turns out that they, after they've been accused of a hochulmander and everything like that, the state Democrats tweaked their map, so it's for the Republicans. It turned out to be not as bad as it could have been, so that's good news. But there are places where, because of the ruling that happened, I guess it was in Alabama, that you have Louisiana and a couple of places that are going to, they're going to probably run a couple of Republicans out of office. But Politico just ran an article about it's, even with all of this stuff, it's not going to be easy for the Democrats to regain control with all the shenanigans that they've had. And a large part of that, I think, too, in the end, is that if Trump remains, if the polls are correct and he remains in the lead overall, then then he should have a pretty good down ballot effect, and then that would help keep the Republicans in power. So we hoping that we don't get a lot of split ticket type of a thing like that. I think if you get split ticket, you might get it somewhere on the other side. So I think that Biden's now making a plea to the Haley supporters, saying, come to our side. We're going to welcome you. You're much better off with us.
Well, I've been saying this.
Dark side.
I've been saying this. I get to jump in. Did you say I can jump in at any time?
Yes, you can. You can jump in whenever you like.
I've been saying this. Trump definitely does not need Hogan to get elected, and I want all the people in Maryland to recognize that. That don't expect Trump to come looking for help from Maryland. Okay, Dwight, your turn.
Yeah, my point is this, one, Biden, enticing, people to come over to the dark side. He had a little fundraiser. I wonder how he stayed up that late last night. He had a fundraiser with Bill and Obama. I wonder if Bill and Obama were like holding him up, and $500,000 to get a picture with, and more like they should pay me $500,000 to get but no, it's like, it's amazing those Upper East Side liberals who's forked out that kind of money to basically, what they're doing is they're basically screwing their own damn futures with, honest to God, it's like we haven't had a real tax cut in a long time. The Trump tax cut is about to expire, and that's reason we need to have the House, we need to have the Senate, and we need to have President Trump in the White House, because we need to make those tax cuts permanent, frankly.
And I don't care. On that fundraiser, Dwight, too, it's like, to me, it's not that they're out, the Democrats came out to really support Joe Biden as much as, Barack and Bill still have a lot of pull, and they're still kind of.
Oh, and I'm willing to bet there were some people that went up when they got the pictures. They probably, let me get one just with Bill Clinton, or let me just get one with Barack Obama.
Hey, Mr. President, can you stand over to the side for a minute?
Run over. Go talk to the flag over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's because we know that there is a if there's one of the problems that Biden faces too, is just that there's a big enthusiasm gap, for voting for him. I mean, there is just, there is a huge lack of enthusiasm for Biden and for Harris. There's that ticket that they thought was going to be solid and give them control for years to come. I mean,
remember they said that when Barack Obama got elected. Oh, it's going to be our great dynasty of the Republicans will never be in power ever again.
Well, fast forward to the year 2028, guys. Who are we looking for from the Democrat side in 2028?
I'm going by 2028. You're going to have. I don't think Westmore is going to be their nominee. As much as Westmore wants to be the nominee, although
Newsom,
it would be kind of
to be that nominee.
I think the nominee.
Again, Don, what did you just say, Don?
Gavin Newsom.
Oh, yeah. I'd say Gavin, or even there's an outside chance we may have Crazy Hochul.
Yeah,
be the Democrats.
That'd definitely be more of a dark horse. I mean, Newsom's got a higher profile, but is that the profile the Democrats want? Running the state of California kind of into the ground. I mean, chasing businesses out, raising just for all these taxes, regulation, and things like that. If that's the model you want, then that's fine. But he's kind of to me he and Martin O'Malley were just peas in a pod. I always felt that O'Malley.
What was Ronstadt's boyfriend name? Governor Brown. What was his first name?
Yeah, Jerry Brown.
So you say Newsom, and I think Jerry Brown. Am I wrong?
Governor Moonbeam. Brown was even weirder though. I
mean, remember he went to go live with Rajneesh Guru, the guy. He went to some ashram in northern India somewhere.
I blacked out for that year, Dwight. I don't remember that.
He did this after he lost the Democrat primary race in 1980. He went to India, I think, someplace to live with some ashram with Rajneesh Guru, I believe. The guy that had 52 Rolls Royces, by the way.
You remember when he was when he left the state or left the country? When he left the country at one point in time, his lieutenant governor was a Republican, was Mike Curb. And Mike Curb basically took over and started.
Hey, what is the Mike Curb Singers? Wasn't that a singer group?
Yes, Mike Curb congregation guy.
Oh, yeah. Was it the same guy?
It was the same guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was the same guy. He took over.
I gotta tune into this show more often.
He started issuing all these these executive orders. It was hilarious. It's like, I think Brown had to come rushing back home, just like, you got to stop this guy. He's like, I'm in charge. Hey, you're gone. You're not here. You're not in the country.
And he did not win re-election for governor. He lost to Governor Duke Major. Was he term limited at that point? Was he term limited, or was he lose?
I don't remember the exactly what happened there. I mean, Dwight, you and I go back to, in terms of our California trips, is that we remember when we could go to the California Republican Convention and they actually had elected state officials.
Dan Lundgren would show up. You'd have
Dan Lundgren, Division. Arnold.
Honestly, Arnold. I don't know why all the conservatives went all gaga about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let me tell you, you had Bill Simon, who's running conservative, Tom McClintock, solid conservative, and you had Bordenaro, who ran for governor, and all three were great conservatives. And you had Sean Hannity, the Rush Limbaughs. All these people, who do they support? They supported Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I wonder, how conservative can you be when you support Schwarzenegger over Bill Simon, who just barely lost to Gray Davis 2 years earlier?
And he was married to Maria at the time, right?
Yeah. And who basically is solidly in the Biden camp and not supporting her cousin.
Schwarzenegger was responsible for California changing their election law, the way the primary runs, so they have the jungle primary, the top two finishers, no matter which party, face off against each other, just like Louisiana has had forever, rather than one person from each party going against each other. And that was a great benefit to the Democrats at the time for doing that. So it's just
speaking of the jungle primary in California, I think Steve Garvey pulls it out and becomes the next senator from California. That's my dark horse pick for 2020.
That's a huge uphill climb. I mean, Schiff is very well financed and everything like that, but it may be that he may show that there is some life in the Republican Party, out there in California after all. If he does well enough. I mean, and I think he has a chance to do well enough. I mean, not everybody loves Schiff. It's just that the registration is still overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
Is there any hope for Herschel Walker in Florida? Wouldn't that be cool?
Wait, he's running in Florida now?
Did I say Florida? You're supposed to mean that I know. I meant Georgia.
Because no, people move around. I mean,
yeah, it could happen. We heard it here first, right?
He moved from New York to here. Then he moved to Florida. He ran for Congress in Maryland and Senate and lost. And then he ran to Florida and cussed out a reporter.
Well, I read that JFK Jr. was going to run for Senate in New York, and then his plane went down mysteriously. And then who filled in that position? Hillary. I know it's silly.
Was it Hillary? Was that no?
That was the conspiracy behind it.
That
JFK Jr. was going to be the senator from New York. He couldn't make it, and then Hillary stepped in.
Yeah, I don't see JFK winning that seat, frankly.
Yeah,
I think the Kennedy.
Now we're faced with RFK Jr. Right?
Yeah, but I think the Kennedys are kind of done, so to speak. I don't.
Yeah,
they don't have. I don't think there's any. Even Campbell Soup Kid Kennedy didn't win re-election.
So RFK Jr. selected some woman from San Francisco as his running mate. Did I read that?
Yeah, she's one of the Google founders' ex-wives. One of them.
Yeah, and she was a former Biden supporter, but she was kind of scared about RFK at the beginning, but she says that the more she listened to him, the more she liked him and thought he was kind of the hope, and things like that. Yeah, she's a commie. Yeah.
Well, speaking of commies, on strange, odd fellow tickets is, remember Pat Buchanan when he ran? You know who his running mate was the second time when he ran on was it the Liberty Party or whatever Ross Perot's part?
I was getting ready to jump out. I was going to throw out the name Ross Perot just to be funny.
Yeah.
Who was his running mate?
In 2000. I think it was the Patriot Party. Is that what the Ross Perot's thing was? Was the Patriot? Were they Patriot Party or something like that? But Ross didn't run in 2000. Pat Buchanan was their nominee, and his running mate was Lillian Falani.
Who?
Lily Falani. She was a ardent communist from the 60s. I think that's her name. Lily Falani. Falana.
Pat Buchanan?
Yes.
Geez. Can't figure that one out.
Yeah, I will get the exact name in case I'm mispronouncing it, but
not to be confused with Lola Falana.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I'm like, where's that? Is that? We're old enough to talk about those things.
Yeah, it's like let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I really got the name wrong.
Now he's gonna come after you.
Nah. But no, she Lenora Falani.
Oh.
Was, and she basically it was basically a very, very liberal socialist communist woman.
All right, what are we gonna talk about next?
Well, I don't know. Let's see. It is spring gardening season, as I did tell Rich this morning. It is, and I found out my gardener is going to be retiring soon, so I got to find a new gardener and a lawn mowing person now.
Is that the Thai guy?
Yeah,
the Thai guy. Yeah,
he's retiring.
Very famous in Western Montgomery County. Right?
Yeah, he's retiring, and now I got to go through next year. I'm going to have to go through the process of finding a new guy to do the lawn.
So we're talking about Thai as in Thai nationality or Thai as in necktie?
No, he's Thai. No, he's Thai nationality.
Yeah.
I thought maybe would cut your grass by wearing a tie.
Susan, we've moved on to talking about Dwight's lawn.
Gardening problems.
So who do you use, Susan? Who's your gardener?
I'm too old to mow the lawn again, start mowing it myself. It's been like probably let's see. I got the lawn mowing service in 2009. No, 2012. It hasn't been that long, but it's still long enough that I don't want to go out. Now I can't even use my gas-powered lawnmower anymore either in Montgomery County. But
okay.
The war in Ukraine still moves on. I think the tide is shifting for the worse. I think Putin's getting more and more. You got a sick cat there. But
hey, Justin, as an aside, just after Susan mentioned those cats, I just saw this funny
cat video.
Report. No, it wasn't about cats, but it was about dogs. It was a woman in Jacksonville, Florida, who woke up the other day, and the part of her car was basically destroyed, and didn't really know why. And they went back and looked at camera footage from around the neighborhood, and they found out overnight, apparently, like a neighbor cat had run over and had gotten under the car or somewhere like this, and they were being chased by she was being chased by a couple of dogs, and the dogs weren't giving up. The dogs actually ripped the fender off and did $3,000 worth of damage to the car.
Wow,
it was ridiculous.
I wonder who pays. Florida's a no-fault insurance state, by the way. So
they're trying to figure out who owns these dogs, and things like that.
Were they mutant dogs?
Yeah, these dogs weren't giving up. They wanted that cat.
How did they come up with this? Were there any eyewitnesses? How did they figure that one out?
They had video.
They had video of the dogs.
Yeah, okay.
They actually went video. They had video of the dogs scratching, clawing, and managing to. That also shows you about the manufacturing of cars. I guess if a dog works hard enough, the dog can rip off your fender.
Obviously, it was not a General Motors product. We know that.
So, by the way, you know what you're supposed to do if your car goes into the water? I just read this today. Those head restraints, you're supposed to pull them out and use those metal tongs out the rear window. I didn't know you were supposed to use the rear window. And the cars are manufactured so that they'll be sinking. This is according to the story I read. And that means that you'll be going up through. If you're bashing out, you get the rear window broken, and then you're supposed to kick it out with your feet. Of course, if you're 75 years old, I don't know what's going to work in that case. But that's what I read.
Well, that's a good segue to the bridge collapse this past week we had. And it was, it's like, I tell you, you never hear, when you hear breaking news Baltimore, the first thing you think is, must have been some mass shooting in Baltimore. You would never have thought, by the way, that bridge was a scary bridge. I don't know if you guys have ever gone over it. I've gone over it. I don't know why people are so freaked out by the Bay Bridge, but this bridge is the one that should freak people out, frankly. It's
I've spoken to a number of people, and I said, do you all ever think what would happen if this bridge collapsed? Every person I spoke to has had that thought when they cross that bridge. What would happen?
That bridge is rickety, and it's not even that old of a bridge. By the way, news media, it is not over 50 years old. It was built in 1977. That makes it about 47 years old today.
Yeah.
Right now.
And when it's windy, the signs come up. They don't allow tractor trailers up on that bridge when the wind exceeds a certain mile per hour.
Like this afternoon, they probably would have shut the bridge down.
Oh, God. Did you just say that?
I mean, if the bridge was still there today, this afternoon.
He said that. What are you talking about?
They shut down the bridge. That's horrible. But I give credit to are those guys. So Susan's coming in. It's the way this thing works, Dwight. When we put in our comments, like Susan is, it's always 2 minutes delay. Anyway, guys, the way they were able to stop the traffic so that no vehicles that were traveling across. I counted 12 seconds. The last vehicle I saw, 12 seconds later, the collision happened and the bridge collapsed. So, and I think I read something about those guys that were responsible for stopping the traffic were honored at yesterday's Orioles game.
Yeah. And then you have MSNBC with Mayor Gangbanger on. Yeah, I mean, he looks like an extra from Law and Order. I'm sorry, not to be that guy, but It looks like so she goes on and they talk about how Republicans are blaming because of the brown people that were piloting the and Hispanics were working on the bridge. I'm like, that is such a racist thing to say.
Oh my gosh.
How do you know those construction workers were Hispanic? How do you know that? I have not seen anywhere they've identified the race of the six dead from the bridge collapse who were working on the potholes there.
I heard something, but I'm not going to repeat it because it's not verified. I mean, I don't even say it's third party, but I have heard, but I'm not going to repeat what I heard.
Then you got the mayor who wants to turn this into a reparations project. And he said a lot of racist things on NBC. Let me see if I can find that clip. I will share that with you.
Yeah.
It's was sent to me, and it's really outrageous that nobody calls him out on this, And let me see if I can't pull it up. Yes, we do have it here. Yeah, but the stuff he says is an outrage. It's on Twitter. And give me 1 second.
The other night, I met the Republican candidate for Baltimore City Mayor named Donald Scoggins. Very pleasant gentleman. So I met him.
Let me share.
I've been friends with him on Facebook for years, but never met him.
He came up to me, and I was at an event, Baltimore City.
You think the mayor could put a tie on?
Yeah, I know. I mean, come on. This is the mayor. Give me a break. What is this thing? Yeah.
And let's listen to
respond to the tomfoolery and attacks on you for having the nerve to be black and also a mayor.
Well, I think, listen, I know, and we all know, and you know very well, that black men and young black men in particular have been the boogeyman for those who are racist and think that only straight, wealthy white men should have a say in anything. We've been the boogeyman from them since the first day they brought us to this country. And what they mean by DEI, in my opinion, is duly elected incumbent. We know what they want to say, but they don't have the courage to say the N-word. And the fact that I don't believe in their untruthful and wrong ideology, and I am very proud of my heritage and who I am and where I come from, scares them, because me being at my position means that their way of thinking, their way of life, of being comfortable and suffering, and while everyone else suffers, is going to be at risk.
He's
and they should be afraid, because that's my purpose in life.
And by the way, the coded racism, before we even knew the nationalities of the men, Maria Bartiromo was out there talking about open borders and trying to somehow signal that they wanted to go after the brown people too, because of course that is their other target. Yeah. We know that the men who were doing this hard construction work overnight, trying to fix the potholes on this bridge, working very hard, were Latino. And so that's now on the table too. We know that this ship, which came from Singapore, was piloted by a very heroic crew from India, whose Mayday call saved lives, not maybe saved lives, but did. So this is a full-throated attack. But this is also what America is. It is people of multiple races who do the hard work to make America work and literally make it work.
And this is, honestly, and what's really funny, nobody has called out the mayor. MSNBC, they've got their own issues now, where they decide to fire Republicans, and via the media, that's how they find out that they've been fired. But the mayor, what he said, as well as the host from MSNBC, he said, if you just change the race around on this, they'd be called racists.
Yeah. I picked up what you said. Yeah.
And Brandon Scott, mayor of Baltimore, how many people have died so far this year in your city? Because of your defund the police and all your liberal hippy dippy agenda from the left. Baltimore is an unsafe city. People aren't going to Orioles games because they're afraid to be shot at if they go to an Orioles game at night or carjacked on the way out. I tell you,
Dwight, I don't even understand why anybody would, if this was would even think that DEI had anything to do with this at all. This is a ship coming out of the port of Baltimore. It's like 1,000 feet long. It's like 200, 200, what is it? 210 million pounds, whatever it is. It's a humongous ship. It loses control. It loses power. Yeah. How are you going to steer a ship like that? Something bad is probably likely to happen if you lose steerage. You can't. It's not going to turn on a dime, even if you get the power back right away. To avoid that. So, but to throw DEI into this would be kind of an inane statement to make in the first place. But it seems to me, I don't think
they have DEI in Singapore or in India, frankly.
Well, I think what happens is that the left has become really just afraid of this whole DEI thing in terms of how badly it's worked out for them. They champion DEI all across the board, from schools to corporations, and it's backfiring badly where everybody's pulling back on this. There's something like 28 states are working on legislation to roll back DEI in education and things like this. And so, let's push back against those conservatives or Republicans that have attacked our mantra of DEI, which has been in a lot of cases nothing but a new name for affirmative action anyway. And see if we can't give these guys a bad name. Let's play the race card, because the race card, they're really good at playing the race card.
They're like, actually, they've become like the little boy that cried wolf. I mean, there is real racism out there, but these guys have watered down the meaning of racism. No one's going to care when it really does happen, frankly. That's how that's how bad it's become. Everything's racism. Honest to God, these Democrats have this obsession with skin pigmentation, frankly. But then again, if you're a Republican and happen to be of dark skin pigmentation, you're just another self-hater or whatever, as they call themselves. I remember in 2020 when I went to go vote, somebody actually asked me, "Do you know you're not white?" When they saw me wearing a Trump shirt. I'm like, that is such a racist thing for you to say. And it was a Democrat that said that too. Because they had the "Let's Go Biden" shirt on. And it's really reprehensible how deplorable these people are.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at what's happening. I mean, in terms of, Trump is attracting, more blacks and more Hispanics this time around. He's really drawing these people away from the Democrats and from Biden. And the Democrats' reaction is to accuse those people that are basically leaving the Democrats and looking to vote for Trump. There's got to be a racist element in here for them to do so, right? You can't have none of these people can be independent thinkers and decide that maybe they like the idea of what Trump says and what he'll probably do versus what they've seen under Biden Harris for the last few years, and they want to change. But no, you can't make that change. Your generations of your family have always voted, Democrat. You're an immigrant. You have to vote Democrat because Democrats will take care of you. We can't play that. I mean, all these cycles of poverty, right? Just stay on welfare because that's the best thing for you in the long run, right? Keep them down. Unbelievable.
Yeah. And it is. It's really horrible the way these people have kind of been pushing. I am just surprised. Because I remember I was talking to a few people about how long before Joe Biden blames the bridge collapse on MAGA Republicans for causing, and the Republicans in Congress for not spending enough money, for the bridge collapse. When does Wes Moore go out and start blaming Larry Hogan and Republicans in the State House for this bridge collapse? It will come. By the way, it's Republican Brian Simonary who authored legislation to get the bridge built back faster and so on. And
yeah, but Biden. The feds are going to come in there and provide a ton of money to get this done. But this is not going to be an easy process. They've got to go clean this up and
they got the largest crane out there lifting up.
Well, that's another thing, that bothers people too, is because they bring in cranes that may be Chinese made, which a lot of people have become very wary of because of Chinese technology in the cranes and what they can do.
I tell you, there was a old Superman cartoon from when I was a kid where Toyman had all these toy robots made, and they were giving away to Christmas time, and they all had a hidden kryptonite power pack somewhere. And Toyman had that at night they'd go out and start committing crimes and stealing, and then obviously Superman had to go find and round these robots up, right? Right now, Robertson Technology builds a Transformer, Optimus Prime, and Grimlock the Dinosaur. If you're a Transformers fan, you know what I'm talking about. That transform automatically, and I'm like, I wonder if they did what Toyman is going to do, where in the middle of the night, Optimus Prime, there's all the Optimus Prime toys are going to transform, go out and cause crime and steal stuff, because they're made in China. I mean, that's how conspiratorial that whole thing is,
Well, Ethan Gutman was on Direct Line the other night, and TikTok came up, and he's definitely in favor of a ban of TikTok and everything like that. And I don't know how far that's really going to go. I don't know if the Senate. I don't think the Senate really is anxious to do anything about this.
Well, also, there's members of the House that are against the ban too. Republicans,
right? There are.
Everyone from Donald Trump to I want to say Congressman Massey. It's kind of like a power grab. I mean, here's the thing. Yay, they're going to stop TikTok. But what stops them from going after, say, I don't know, let's say there's something they don't like what the Republican Club posted on their website, or they don't like what we say on Direct Line. What's to stop them from shutting us down, using the same rules, that they're using to shut TikTok down?
Well, you're talking about TikTok. Why am I thinking about whack-a-mole? I mean, boom, you hit the TikTok. Well, there's something else that's going to rear its head, right?
Yeah. And here's something. There actually is. You could do the same thing you do on TikTok through Facebook, Instagram, Reels. You can be a fool on various other platforms too, as I like to say.
Yeah, it's just that TikTok has become the thing, right, for young people and whatnot, and
Joe Biden's on TikTok, not just young people.
Lots of demented old and all of this. Yeah, I'm definitely more of a free market guy, and kind of it is whatever the market demands. I mean, I think they'd have to prove to me, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that there is information being collected, that they shouldn't be collecting and using nefariously, and that's where it gets a little tricky, because we're talking about a Chinese-owned company, and nothing is transparent with anything coming out of China at all. So that always is a little bit of an issue. But if they were forced to sell to an American company, and Steve Mnuchin is like, he's lining up, just like other people lined up, Microsoft and others lined up Oracle, a few years ago under Trump to buy TikTok. It would seem, on the surface, it would be less of a headache if they just went ahead and sold this off and got rid of this. And the Chinese, I mean, we're talking about whack-a-mole. Yeah, they could just come up with another version of TikTok or something better anyway, sell the company, make money, go and develop something new.
Who's a Wall Street Journal reporter that was apprehended a year ago in Russia?
Evan Gersovich.
Yeah.
I read that, and then I thought about Edward Snowden. We haven't heard from Edward Snowden for a while. And I didn't realize that Putin made him a Russian citizen in 2022. Were you guys on board with that? Edward Snowden?
Yeah, I did not hear that he was a Russian.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder, well, who is Edward Snowden working on behalf of anyway? I mean, does he have the interest of U.S. citizens at heart? Is he a mole, so to speak?
He was a traitor. Edward Snowden was a traitor. I know a lot of the libertarian folks who kind of gasp when you go after, call Snowden a traitor. But he was a traitor. He stole secrets, and now he's giving them to our enemies, the Russians.
And then there were court cases that came up, and documents were cited that Edward Snowden had released. And in those cases, the defendants won because of documents that Edward Snowden had brought out. So I can argue both sides of an argument here, Dwight.
That's good. That's good.
It'd be like, I mean, we have Julian Assange trying to, trying to fight his extradition and everything like that too. I mean, we got these.
He's another one.
I'm sorry.
Very interesting characters.
Still with us? Is he still with us?
He's in a British prison.
He's got to be so frail. Gosh.
Yeah. But I mean, Assange, Snowden. I mean, in Hollywood glorified Snowden by making a movie about him, making him out to be a hero, and it's just disgusting, frankly. Actually, it's funny. I heard their ratings were down again for their Academy. Which awards did they do recently? The last award show. Was it the Academy Awards?
Academy Awards, yeah.
Yeah, I heard the ratings were down again. And by the way, the host at the very end, when he starts talking about Trump's tweets, I mean, he kind of went a little unhinged at the very end.
But that's anything that happens with those Hollywood guys, especially now, it just shows that they are fearful of Trump winning. All of the things that the liberals thought that would bring Trump down have remarkably helped him. I mean,
galvanized,
and it really, it's exactly galvanized.
I mean, you got indictment after indictment after indictment. Every time he's been indicted, his poll numbers go up. Fundraising for him goes up.
Remember the Chinese handcuffs when you were a kid? That's exactly what's happening.
Mr. Data could never get his fingers out of the Star Trek The Next Generation.
Yeah, I mean, Trump should be thanking all these people who've been going after him for helping make him the presumptive nominee. I think his road to this, to here would have been harder without this. People would have taken.
In full disclosure, in 2001, Ralph Nader came to one of a meeting I was at over at Americans Tax Reform. I did walk up to him and say, "Thank you, Mr. Nader, for running for president. You made it possible that President Bush is sitting in the White House now."
And his reaction?
He was not happy.
Yeah, a lot of those people will always deny that they really had that much of an effect on that, and the jury seems to be out based on you can read a bunch of things right now about RFK Jr. His effect should he get on the ballot in enough states as to who he siphons more votes from.
I think he pulls from obviously the Democrat pools and the Republican pool, frankly.
He's the way he's talked. He definitely attracts some of the he could probably take some of the say the never Trumpers that are still around or something like that. They won't go for Biden, but they would go there. But then again,
did you not say that she's a commie? Excuse me, Susan said that she was a commie, right? His vice presidential running mate.
Oh yeah, I mean, remember, let's not kid ourselves. RFK is also a true blown socialist at heart too. Remember, he would he's with us on vaccine mandates and stuff like that. But he's still a socialist. He wants big government. He wants to grow the size of government. He wants to have what do you call it?
He's a big environmentalist.
Yeah, big enviro. I'm surprised his cousin, his brother Joe is not on the bandwagon with him. And because Joe is just another reprehensible member of Congress. That is his brother, right? Joe Kennedy. That's RFK's other son. Is that correct? I mean,
as you say, are the Joe and Robert are? Did Joe lose a leg?
I don't know.
No. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Edward Kennedy had a son, and Teddy's son lost a leg.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Patrick, or was it the other one?
It might have been Patrick. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Patrick was also in Congress. His car ended up in the malls, by the way. Funny story. And there used to be, I don't know if they're still around, but the Capitol Steps did a fun little number. And they go, he goes, Ted Kennedy goes, well, at least you didn't have an Olympic swimmer in your car with you.
Oh.
Very joke effect, Nick.
Oh. She wasn't
But-
was she a swimmer?
I thought
No.
she was. Somebody told me she was.
I'm gonna have to research that one. That's the
I know
first
we need to
time
find
I've
somebody
ever-
from the Mary Jo Kopechne Society to tell us. Anyone
Right.
around still? Don, the Mary Jo Kopechne. Randy, is he still around? From Randy Weaver from Washington Inquirer, is he still around?
I don't know.
Randy Randall. Yeah,
Randy Randall, there you go.
I tell you what, there are jokes.
Our
that
Memorial
I-
Society was me and my father and Les Consolving and his son. That was the four of us going up to Martha's Vineyard and creating a ruckus.
Oh, so you're the sole survivor. I thought Randy was part of that group too.
No, he didn't go up there to do that.
Okay.
Those are kind of distant memories now when we went up there and erected the sign up there that got torn down within a day. It's pretty funny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean that was what July 1969, so it's
Yeah.
It'll be what 55 years
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, but anyways, we're getting close to the end of our show.
Oh, gotta come up with final thoughts, don't we? Okay.
I know, 8:00. And now that we got a timer that goes with us, we kind of stay on track.
If Mike pays attention to it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Last week I forgot to pay. Actually, last week I started. Actually, even today I started about 5 minutes later. So, according to the timer, we still have 8 minutes to go. Oh, look, fireworks and thumbs up. Hey,
Oh, yeah. Just all the weird things that are coming out because I'm using a Mac.
Oh, are you putting that up there, Don?
No, apparently, but what's happened is that Apple turned on some setting that does this.
Oh,
and it now affects Zoom calls and all kinds of things. But you're supposed to be able to turn this off when you're online, something like that. But I haven't seen the setting to turn it off because I every time I'm on something like that, though I know that when I've been on a couple of Zoom calls, I haven't had that happen, which is I'm glad for because that would definitely be embarrassing for some of those other calls. But yeah, for every time I've been on for this lately, it's just been popping up, and it's like I have no idea how to shut it down. There's some instructions about how to shut it down on a mobile device, but not on a laptop, at least as far as I can tell. So anyway, we like the show.
Yeah. So final thoughts. Let's start with you, Rich. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. What am I going to go to? I guess if you're scrambling for thoughts, I like baseball. I used to umpire baseball. So the Orioles had their game yesterday.
They won.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I did watch the replays. I saw Cedric Mullins.
LA Angels.
Yeah, he hit a 3-run homer.
Orioles magic.
Yeah, and then that takes us over to Ohtani, the gambler. I saw Pete Rose say, "Gosh, if I'd have had an interpreter, I would have been home safe."
Yeah, I mean, seriously, if he is not banned for life, there's no justice for Pete Rose.
Yeah. I don't understand exactly what happened, how everything went down. How does this interpreter manage to come up with that much money? And who's going to allow him to bet that much money on the income of an interpreter? What are we missing here?
Unless the Dodgers are paying him a very nice salary, I doubt they are.
Yeah.
I'm sure since he was using a bookie and not going through legal channels anyway, and though gambling is illegal like that in California to begin with, I'm sure by doing that they figured there was some kind of a backstop of some sort, one way or another.
Right.
But yeah, I mean this is a question that Major League Baseball, they really need to answer this, find the real truth behind it, because the story has shifted, right?
Yeah.
We got one story, then we kind of got another story. And it's like, so what is it exactly?
Yeah. We got FanDuel reporting on this high crime and misdemeanor by a baseball player that does very well. And then how many years ago was it? Only 2 years ago that the umpire's uniform had Bitcoin on the front of their uniforms. I mean, what's baseball doing?
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my final thought. Has to do with that nonsense that's going on.
Hashtag justice for Pete.
Oh, okay.
Don, final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, just carry on there a little bit from Rich. It's just that, I mean, I love baseball as well, and it's great to see opening day come and watch all this. We'll see some surprises. The teams will jockey. We'll see injuries that will affect the end outcome by the end of the season. We really don't know. For the Orioles, hopefully they will bring up Jackson Holiday sooner rather than later. but it looks like they're under a player control deal that they want to keep them under contract a little bit longer.
Yep.
But so they're playing that game a little bit. But it's fun. I mean, but for the Nationals, they need to sign people. They need to sign some people to around their young people to give them some anchors before they really turn around much more than they have. So hopefully that'll happen for them. But we're also in the midst of March Madness. I thought that I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking how interesting it is with March Madness. So now the NCAA allows the women's side to use March Madness. They didn't allow them to use March Madness in their marketing before, and they now allow them to do that. So you now have March Madness for the women and for the men. But the women are really upstaging. The women are really upstaging the men because of Caitlin Clark, and some of the other stars of these women's teams. And you can see where, you could have some really, tough matchups with that. The men's side teams are good, but not great. And now the thinking is that all these one and dones and all these other things that have happened, transfer portal, NIL, and things like this, that, maybe we should be encouraging the students to stick around and give us some veteran presence to anchor our teams a little bit. So, because the women, they can't leave early, they have to stay, whereas the men can, if you want to play in the NBA, you can even play for G League, Ignite, or go Europe and play pro, and then come back and then go ahead and get drafted by the NBA. The WNBA, they can't do that with the college women, but more power to the women's teams for providing a lot of excitement to the game and maybe giving March Madness, a little kick that they need. Where the men's side has just been, we don't really know what's going to happen, but people aren't getting overly excited about any one team because there's just not a superpower team that people can say, they're going to take it all to the top at this point in time. For that,
well, I mean, Kentucky got blown out.
Dwight, I want to make a 20-second point based on what Don said. That I every Monday morning I read the sports section of the Washington Post for blind people, and I notice that the stories are focusing on the women. I will be reading stories. The headline is there, and I don't know if the story is about men basketball or women's basketball. I have to read down 3 paragraphs before I can figure out if it's women's basketball or not. So the Washington Post is definitely making a push towards having women be the headlines.
And then, so there's a lot more parity going on with all of that. I mean, with that, the women's side is getting a lot more attention, and they can only make so much money by playing in the WNBA because salary restrictions and the fact that they're not profitable yet overall. But they're getting there. I mean, they're going to have their next TV contract. I think it was going to be a heck of a lot bigger than the last one. So it's an interesting time for that. And Trump, despite all all this stuff, all this garbage, with that judge, with that whole you have to post the entire bond.
How many judges are we talking about here, Don?
Yeah, now the one that said you have to post the entire $464 million bond, which is outrageous. I mean, whoever has to post that the fact that there was that to begin with is outrageous. But then they say you have to post the entire bond. When does that ever happen? So he got relief. He got relief for that, which is good. So he could pay that out of what he's got. But,
what was Bernie Madoff's bond? 10 million.
Yeah, it was very small.
I mean, even on television, Law and Order, when they had like this, actually it was organized crime. I think we had Richard Wheatley, who was this big mob boss, right? Who's threatening he didn't even get that big of a bond. Barbara didn't even ask for. Actually, I think Barbara was not the agent.
I'm glad we're using Law and Order as our bar here.
I know. Well, I mean, LA Law. I could use LA Law reference, but nobody remembers it.
With Corbin Burnson. Yeah.
And just to say, for Trump, he's gonna, if things go well enough, he'll have a real windfall. I mean, the SPAC, went public. So on paper, On paper, he's got what, between $3 to $4 billion here that he can get out of this whole thing. Of course, he needs to, because there's a lockup period. The question is, what will it be worth in 6 months? But this is the MAGA support. They've gone all in. This is a money losing company. They have very little revenue and they've got a lot of expenses, and people have piled into this thing. And I'm like, whatever, I mean, this has become a meme stock like GameStop and Bed Bath and Beyond before they probably went bankrupt and stuff like that. So
are they gone? Are they totally gone? Bed Bath and Beyond? Are they still in business?
No. Bed Bath and Beyond, but they went out of business and the name was bought by Overstock.com.
Oh, okay. Because I know they had those annoying commercials.
Over everything anything under the Bed Bath and Beyond and Bye Bye Baby is now done by Overstock.
Really, Bye Bye Baby is now also owned by Overstock.
Yeah, because Bed Bath and Beyond owned Bye Bye Baby.
Yeah. Really? Okay, I remember Bye Bye Baby was just a small. Aren't they local to Maryland?
Bye Bye Baby was actually more profitable. They actually were making money when Bed Bath and Beyond wasn't. Bed Bath and Beyond lost their way. And Bye Bye Baby was actually making money, but not enough. What you can see. We're seeing this all the time, right? Corporations, these companies, retailers, they make some decisions and they can't keep up with the changing nature of how retail is, and so they're forced into bankruptcy and they liquidate and go away, and they'll sell the name to some other company, right? And whatever assets they've got left. And what I don't like about this is that. I saw this the other day. I wasn't going to say this, but so I was saying, see this long list of companies laying off employees, right? That's going around, that circulates around the internet. And I'm like, I try to point out that there's a lot of factors in some of these things. It's not Biden doing this necessarily. They want to use this as a way to blame Biden for causing these companies to make all these layoffs. But there are so many factors when you list these companies, and a lot of the information in this thing is completely incorrect anyway, right? They list figures for companies that aren't correct on top of that. But all you have to do is put that up there and say this, and it goes around, and all, if you want to believe it, they just start circulating around, and that always drives me crazy, about that.
How many minutes do we have left, Dwight?
Anyway, we're actually in extra innings. We're 7 minutes over.
Okay. Back to you, Dwight, to finish it off.
Real quick, I want to let everyone know next Thursday night is an evening with Governor Ehrlich as we celebrate the launch of his new book.
I thought he was going to be on the program. Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, he's not. No, he's on the other show. He's on the Grown Up Show directly. But it's going to be next Thursday on the 4th in Annapolis at the home of Dirk and the Honorable Jessica Hare, former councilwoman from Anne Arundel County. Tickets are still available and they're reasonably priced, So come on out. We've got, we'd love to see you. There's going to be a lot of surprises there. Get a copy of the book while you're there, autographed, personalized by Governor Ehrlich. That's next Thursday. And if you go to mdgop.org, you can find information there, or go to MontgomeryCountyRepublicClub.com and you can find information there for how to buy tickets and come on out. We'd love to see you. Also, another final thought. I am glad that the RNC is thinking of banning NBC from the convention. It's about time, frankly. Make an example out of them for the CBS and CNNs, I mean, this is outrageous. I hope Rona has a defamation suit against NBC and goes after them and pushes them into bankruptcy. And I'd love to see NBC go into bankruptcy.
That's not going to happen. I mean,
she
can probably sue for breach of contract or something like that. But
but what are the reporters? Like the Rachel Mad Cows and what's his name? The commie, the socialist commie.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, did they? She's still a public figure, and will always be.
Yeah, I know. Just like Rachel Mad Cow's a public figure, yeah. But but shame on you, NBC, and I hope you are banned from the convention. We don't need your kind there, frankly. you never even showed the president's speech, so why would you need to be there? You don't need to be there. So in that, and my other final thought is, I wonder if Gannett Fleming is going to be hired to design the new Key Bridge. That was the firm that actually designed the original Key Bridge. Gannett Fleming. I think they're based out of Philadelphia, but they've got a large Baltimore presence also. But be interesting to see if they're hired or. And I think the new bridge should be a suspension bridge, frankly. I think it'd look a lot nicer too than that trestle bridge. And also, nobody's really doing trestle bridges anymore because they're not, for this very reason,
Right. You said it. I thought it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, an opportunity to build a structurally sound bridge, right?
Yeah.
With barricades, 50 meters that keeps such a,
Yes, and also the fact that also the time lanes that are not narrow lanes, where if you're in a big SUV and a semi is passing you, that's probably carrying hazmat too. Let's just face it, because that's the because that's the route. Because hazmat, you can't run it through the tunnels,
right?
And that was the route they had to take. People carrying hazmat was that way.
Yeah, I mean, allow it too, because I mean, these ships that run through the port now, I mean, a lot of them are so much bigger than they were 45 years ago.
Panamaxes, right? These are the big Panamax class.
So take into consideration all the changes that have occurred in the last 45, 47 years or whatever, and then make sure the bridge is, is ready for that and anything else that could happen down the line.
Are they not getting ready to redo the inner harbor? Is that going to take a back seat now? Is that going to
well, I know during Hogan's administration, they do a lot of dredging to accommodate the Panamax class cargo ships, and these are.
Are you talking about just the harbor?
The way the Rouse Company refurbished.
Redo all the retail and all that stuff.
That's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
Oh, that okay.
That's going to have to be delayed.
No, I don't know. Why would I don't know if that would be delayed, because that's on dry land.
I don't know.
Depends on where the money is coming from.
It's a domino effect. Yeah. I mean, the FedEx drivers are now coming early because of the Key Bridge.
Yeah, and maybe we should have thought this through, but we got. We're doing by the way, May 6th, another final thought is we're doing a salute to Ellen Sauerbrey in Towson, Maryland, at the Towson Sheraton on Delaney Valley Road, which is also a favorite haunt for former Congresswoman, the late Helen Bentley, which is just a little funny. If you know Maryland history, you know why that's funny. But back to the whole bridge fiasco thing, I really hope they build it wider, a taller bridge. I'll never use it because I think the old bridge is too tall, but you got to make it tall to get the ships out, through. And putting a drawbridge, we've learned from the drawbridge on the Potomac River, when on the other side of the Beltway, the drawbridge snarled traffic per mile. So let's not do a drawbridge there. But I think, Baltimore will survive. We'll build this bridge again. I don't buy it's going to take quite 10 years, because I don't see it taking as long to clear the old bridge out of the harbor. That's not going to be what's going to take so long. Long term is going to be, because you got to go through the design. You got the new EPA regulations you have to probably adhere to, and so on. That's going to take more time building the bridge than it's going to take to clear out the old bridge and move the dolly out of the way, so to speak, and that you can probably use tugs to pull it ashore, because I don't think was there any hull breach on the ship? I have not read anything about that.
I read that no, they're not. There's no fuel. There's no fuel leaking.
Yeah, so I mean, in theory, you could take.
Because I read it doesn't make it true, right?
Yeah, you could take it and take some tugs, tow it back into harbor, get it make sure it's seaworthy, fix the dirty fuel problem, which caused the power failures, from what I understand. And then I mean, they got the cranes already in place now, so I think it's going to be not too long for them to clear out the bridge and all that, fish out the cars that are in there. But I think
the U.S. Navy was responsible for bringing those cranes up.
Yeah, and I know Don mentioned these are Chinese-made cranes or something like that. But you gotta clear this. It's a big mess. You got to use what you have. Not what you wish you had. But that's it for my final thoughts. Thank you, everyone. We'll see everyone next week. Take care and bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.
And happy Easter to everyone
Happy Easter.
who celebrates.